Hey, everybody. Tuning some drum heads. Changing a lot of drum heads. I just wanted to go ahead and get the live stream going today. I've got a lot of work going down. Getting ready for a whole new setup on the kit. Let me know if you can hear everything all right. Get everything adjusted here. I'm going to be changing all the heads on all the drums, getting ready for a session coming up this weekend. Just waiting for these drum heads to get here. They're finally here. Changing all the heads on the Ludwig. Both the toms, batter and rezo. All of the snares. It's going to be a fun one. What's up, man? Wasn't sure how many people were going to hop on because it's a Friday, but if you got any questions, just holler. Otherwise, we're just going to be hanging out, changing drum heads. Heads I've had on here were the EVANS G1s. I used to be a Remo guy. Man, it was always Emperors on the top, Ambassadors on the bottom, just for what I was going for. Kind of that rock country thing. Hey, Robert, what's up? But since in the last few years, I've switched to EVANS. I've been rocking G1s for a long time. And I'm finally getting to try the UV2s. Pretty pumped about that. So you see, these are pretty beat up. Time to go. There's still plenty of life in these. I gotta say, the EVANS stuff lasts a long time. I love the sound of a Remo, but I just have not had good luck with them in the past. One tip on your toms, these little cotton balls inside. Just have a handful of just regular cotton balls. So if you kind of have that issue of like certain resonances that ring out, but you still want the attack, you can just literally chuck a bunch of cotton balls in the bottom. So when you hit it with the drum, all those cotton balls will jump for a second and then settle back down on that head. So you don't lose any attack. It's not like you have to tape up the drum and lose the attack as well, but they kind of settle back down and they'll kill that sustain for you. Pretty cool stuff. We're going with the EVANS UV2s on top and the Rezo 7s on the bottom. I've wanted to try this combo for a while. If you guys are in there, say what's up in the chat. Oh, wow. Just even handling these, they feel really good. I guess they've changed kind of that top film layer. I know enough about drums to change heads and tune. I'm not a player, but man, these feel good. And the level 360s always seem to sit on there just right. Ooh. Stop by and say, hey, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Sure did, man. Thanksgiving was awesome. Kind of smaller this year, understandably, you know. Most people's are probably a lot smaller, but still, it was really nice. It was kind of nice just to sit and kind of be quiet with the family. And then get right back at it, tearing apart a drum set. Any of you guys in the chat, you work with real drum sets at all? I talk about drums so much. I feel like I hope some of you guys work with drum sets. First time I had to eat a turkey leg with a mask on. Yeah, we all gotta make sacrifices a little bit. Turkey still tastes good though, right? Man. So you guys are just coming in, changing drum heads, getting ready for a session, and I'm putting on the UV2s across the whole kit. Drummer swears by Aquarian. We changed heads to Remo one time and he took them off and got to Guitar Center to swap them out. I get Remos. I was a Remo boy for a long time. I mean, ultimately, I don't think you just use what you're used to. I've used the Evans G2 heads before. That's what I just took off of the kit. Actually, this one was a G1. I think there's G2s on the other tom. But I've wanted to give these UV2s a try just because working with heavy hitters on this session, especially. And the Sounds Like a Drum channel, if you guys don't follow that channel, Sounds Like a Drum, oh man. They did a review of the UV2s specifically across the entire kit, and it sounded fantastic. That channel, if you're into drums, you have to follow that channel. But yeah, with the Remos, I used to use Emperors on the top, pretty much everything. Like I was the Emperor on top, Ambassador on bottom. That was just the standard because that's what I was taught. Well, I got more and more Remos that were just dead right out of the box. And if you've never used like a dead head, you know when they die. It's like they just go flat all of a sudden, and it sounds like they don't want to tune the right way. They don't resonate the right way. But you can pull them out. Like you could pull a brand new Remo out of the box, and if you hold it, typically you do it like this, and you'll get a note or not, and that's how you know if the head's good. That's an old head, so. But I got so many dead ones. Even after a session, I think we ordered 20 or 30 drum heads for a full record, and most of them were bad. I went to a local place, got a ton of Evans because that's what they had, and since then I've been working with Evans. They just sit better on the head. You don't have to push on them and crank so hard to make sure they're seated. They just seem to seat. I don't know. Aquarians, I haven't given Aquarians that much of a chance. I don't know. It's kind of like PV to me. I just don't like the logo. Although I'm a kick drum. Aquarian Super Kick. That is the kick drum head for me. I don't know why I won't put it on a tom. I've just never tried. Overtones are more controlled on the UV2s. I hope that's what I'm banking for. I don't want to muffle these down too far. For those of you guys who are watching, all I'm doing is I'm going to put these on because the session is tomorrow. I'm putting the brand new ones on and I'm getting them finger tight. I'm just going to let them sit, and then I'm going to I might tune them up once I'm done here and then give them one final tune before the session. Came from marching percussion, so you love Evans. I've heard that from a few people. I know nothing about marching percussion, but I have heard that from a few guys who have come to the studio and done marching stuff, and like, I guess Evans is super popular in that world. That's interesting though. Why do so many marching guys like Evans? Can you kind of shed some light there? Because you're not the first one that said that. They make amazing heads. Yeah, yeah, I'll give you that. The marching guys would know. I'll trust you guys. Speaking of marching, I love this drum key. I'm gonna screw up and call this a drum tuner. I'm a guitar player, so I call these tuners. I know it's a key, but marching tuner, oh god, marching drum keys are where it's at. Now I can see the chat a little better. Probably because you can beat the crap out of them. That you can. So you can see on even this kit right here. Once I get this off, I'm still using a Remo Ambassador on the bottom. says they're super bright, but they project articulation extremely well. Yeah. Hands-on demo, great stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get into an actual demo. I don't know what you guys could hear on a live stream that won't just be obliterated. For those of you guys who are in here, is the sound a little better this time? I'm kind of trying to tweak this a little bit and make it sound a little better. I know I've got this mic right in my face. I hope it's not too distracting. Remo ambassadors. Love them. We're going to try the Rezos. The Rezo 7. 1-ply, 7 mil. Gotta line up that logo. Sounds great. Sweet. Right track. A few more people coming in. How'd y'all feel about Thanksgiving? I might just be talking for myself, but I like a good little low-key Thanksgiving. Kind of nice. Holland speaking. Are you like from Holland? Holland, Michigan? Holland, the country? Man, these things seat so well. I've been Remo for a while. I even had Remo on the resonant heads for these, but you guys, if these tune up as easy as they did last time, I might be an Evans boy for now on. Oof. Here we go. Man. This is the house kit. We've got a Gretsch house kit as well, but I just love these Ludwigs. Ludwig Classic Maple. And you have to get the Black Oyster if you're going to get the Classic Maple. Come on. The Beatles. By the way, I love to set these toms on a throne because it spins. Pro tip. Not so pro tip. UV2s seem to tune well. Watching sounds like a drum. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That's why I bought a full set of them. I love sounds like a drum. They've taught me so much. Not being a drummer and then trying to know how to treat a drum kit in the recording studio, man, that channel. If you guys don't follow that channel, not yet. Wait till we're done with this live stream. But go over and check Sounds Like a Drum out. They are fantastic. I think they got like 53,000 subscribers. For as many guys who are interested in recording music, they should have so much more than that. Love the kit. Oh man, I do too. We'll get to the interesting stuff later. Where I gotta change the heads on the snares too. I mean, come on. Vouch? I don't know what that means. Just like any other Thanksgiving with the lines losing. Hey man, I'm in Indiana, Colts country. We're used to losing. Are you tuning pitch bend up or pitch bend down? Same tension top bottom. I like to go pitch bend down, unless you're doing jazz. And Again, I will preface this saying I am not a drummer. I can sit behind a kit and kind of fake it, but I feel like the most fun thing to do in the recording studio is drums. Like everybody can fake anything else almost anywhere. You can do guitars almost anywhere, especially with impulse responses and stuff like that. You can record vocals almost anywhere. Drums are hard to fake, and so I knew I needed to learn how to tech drums because a lot of players just can't tune their own set. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, just like everything else I talk about on this channel. There's always learn to room something. Always room to learn. But that said, for this particular thing is like a rock session, very hard-hitting metal groups from Puerto Rico. I can't release much information right now. Albeit very heavy-hitting, heavy metal stuff. I like the pitch to go down after it's hit. I do a lot of jazz, and those guys, they will tune their own kits, which is awesome. But it seems like in the jazz world, they want that pitch to go back up. And it's different for different guys, and it depends on like the subgenre of jazz. Like if you're doing the lo-fi thing, then you almost tune like a rock, like a 70s rock kit. That's I tune so it goes down, which means the bottom head's slightly higher than the batter. So the reso head tighter than the batter. Except on snares, where that snare head sometimes will be awfully tight just to get that response and that snare hit. But the top, I go pretty low on snares, and that's just because of my collection of snares that I have, and then how they play well together. Ambassadors are great for jazz. Yes, I had a dude come in with I don't know how he got them. He had actual calf skins, and they sounded unreal. It was weird because you just don't see those things at all anywhere. But I mean, maybe you guys who are more into drums rather than just me in a black hole in the studio, you probably see calf skins more. But I feel like those are pretty rare because they can't make it anymore, right? Somebody let me know. Calf skins are not legal anymore, are they? Now that there are more people in here, I'll give this tip again. So in the bottom of a tom, I will always put a bunch of cotton balls. Kind of flatten them out here. So when you strike the drum, those cotton balls will bounce up and then settle back down on that bottom head to kind of kill that resonance a little bit. But instead of like taping it or using like a moon gel, you don't lose the attack of the drum, and you don't pitch down the head by adding more mass of like a moon gel or something. I believe they make the imitation type. Yeah, I've seen the imitation stuff a lot. Jazz drums have gotten a certain room ambience. Jazz recorded live most of the time. Yeah, I mean, whether that's like a live record or live in the studio, definitely. What is this? Looks funny. Hey, man. We're changing drum heads. Just hanging out, chatting. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I do here, and I need to give a proper studio tour. There we go. Sound should be back on. Let me know if you guys have it. Lost audio. Thanks for letting me know. I need to get a dedicated actual mixer here. I'm using my Tascam. Cool. I gotta figure out. I'm using my Tascam D60, which is like a camera mixer for audio. And even with that auto, like I guess it turns itself off, but even if you turn that off, it still turns itself off. So I'm gonna get a new one. I have one on order, but it's hard to get anything right now. So I will get it when I get it. Oh wow, I missed a lot of comments that aren't just lost to you gone audio. Some tuning and maintenance tutorials would be great. I've thought about doing some of those, but there are so many really good drum tuning tutorials and like maintenance stuff. What do you think, like specifically, you guys would like to see? Because there's so much out there. What year is that acrylite on the couch? I don't know, but there's a funny story with that drum. If anybody knows more about acrylites than I do, I tried to track down what year this was. It may not be that old. I don't really know. Here's the badge. I don't know if you can see that. But I saw this on, of all places, Facebook Market. Somebody had it in their, they found it in their dad's attic after they moved him out. I think the dad had passed away, and they found this in the attic, and they just wanted $20 for it. And I met with the lady. She came by the studio. She wanted to see the space because her dad was a musician, so she was interested. Olive badge, yeah. It's got the olive badge. I don't really know what that means. Anyway, she just wanted $20 for the drum, and it had been kept in a case its whole life. Like, this thing is in fantastic condition, albeit like it's oxidized on the hoops, and the throw was in bad shape, and I kind of had to tweak that a little bit. But I was like, I cannot pay, let me pay you at least $100. Like, I don't know what this is really worth, but let me pay you at least $100. So she settled on 50. So I got the acrylite for $50. Let me know if that's a good deal. Looks like a 70s. That's what I had thought, but I don't know enough about them. Like, I went looking through the badges and trying to find the difference in the badges, but I'm gonna be changing the head on all the snares too. And the damper on that thing still works great, which in my research it looked like that's like the first thing to go on those drums. Gotta line up those logos. Yeah, that's a good deal. Sweet. Right now I'm just going for finger tight on these. Picked up an 85 Deluxe reverb for $20. No. I know a little more about guitars, so you're talking the Fender Deluxe reverb, the combo? What was that, a 212 or the 310? $20? Dude. I would love it if this live stream, instead of talking about drums, this just turned into like our best garage sale finds. Oh my gosh. The single 12 still. Did everything work on it? That's insane. Did they just not know what they had? Like that's crazy. Along those same lines of the garage sale deals and stuff, my dad has a in the UK that snare is worth at least 300. Wow, 300 pounds or $300. Small live channel, that's great. Yeah, I was gonna say along those same lines of like garage sales, my dad has an addiction to pawn shops. So he has found some insane pawn shop finds. Because every time he'll go, he knows I'm into guitar and recording, even before the studio and stuff. Like he would go in and find just the craziest things. Two of my room mics that I have up in the live room are, I think they're DC 69 PMLs, which were like the very first switchable pattern condenser microphones. He found two of them. And I think he paid like $50 for the pair. They're like my favorite room mics of all time. I have them hanging up in the studio. They're up in the corners. Nope, just wanted to get rid of it. Some cold solder points, resoldered, change out the power cable. Dude, that's legendary. That's crazy. Like I always, that's a huge thing. If you know how to solder, there's so much stuff you can get in the kit form, or something's just slightly broken. I can't tell you how many microphones I've bought that are broken and all they need is just something soldered back onto it. Most of the time it's a connector, and that's so easy. Soldering can be intimidating at first, but man, if you can solder, you can get so much studio gear just from broken things. And then if you're purchasing it broken, you're buying it at a discount anyway. If you can't fix it, you just sell it again for parts. So it's like you're not losing anything. Got a purple 93 Squire at a pawn shop, mint condition, $50. That's crazy. I'm trying to find one of my guitars. I think one of the most interesting finds I had was this guitar back here. Hang on. It's a 1929 Oscar Schmidt Stella. I mean, it's really not worth much, but I don't know if this comes across in the live stream. I mean, there is no truss rod in this thing. The neck is like holding a baseball bat. It's like a 3/4 inch parlor guitar, but this is really cool. $50, I think, at a local shop. Interesting stuff. I love old instruments. My Rhodes in the other room was kind of the same thing. I found at a local shop. It needed some work. I mean, it was the Rhodes 73, the made in 1972, I think, or reverse those numbers. I don't know. There's the 72, 73, 74 in there somewhere. You do the math, but I got some replacement gaskets for that thing, and it just sings now. And I picked that Rhodes up for $300. It's like if you're willing to do a little bit of work on an instrument, gosh, there's so many good finds out there. That floor tom though is so nice. Ludwig Classic Maple. I love this drum kit. This is a 1616. The session coming up is like heavy hitting rock metal. So I'm just changing the heads on the whole kit. We're going to change out the toms. I already did the kick drum, Aquarian Super Kick 2. We're going with the Evans UV2s on top. We're going with the Evans Rezo 7s on the bottom. I'm an old Remo boy. I could not get over my Emperor Ambassador combination. But I don't know what it is. And so let me know if you guys have had the same experience with Remo. I'm in love with Remo. And when you get a good set of Remos, I feel like that's the sound. But it just seems like their QC isn't awesome, which is a shame. My dream set is the Ludwig Ringo kit. Is the classic maple like Ringo's setup? Because didn't he have like the Black Oyster thing and I mean that's why I got the Black Oyster on this drum kit, if I'm being honest. Just gotta be mojo in the skin, right? Just bought a set of Remos. Dude, I love Remos. It just seems like I keep getting dead heads on them. And not every time, like 1 out of every 5 or something like that. But when you're in the studio changing heads super often, that's too often. Have you ever ran into that? Got to clean off that bearing edge. I can't find my rezo. Here we go. Always use Remo because that's what I'm used to. Just ordered Evans heads to try out something different. That's exactly what I did. Yeah, Mike, I was always a Remo boy, and it took a lot for me to switch to Evans because I had it in my head like it was the. And I say this with loving care, like it seemed like it was the metal kid thing to do. As harsh as that sounds. But once I finally did, man, their level 360 thing, the heads are super consistent. They always tune the same, which is shocking and something I'm not used to coming from Remo. Oh. No, just haven't had a kit in a while. Just bought a cheapo, some new heads because I knew I needed them. Yeah. Dude, and chances are those will be fine. Like I said, it's like when you're getting so many heads and changing them out like for a full record, and you have like 5 bad ones and a whole set of 50, like that's a bummer. It just brings the whole thing to a halt. Is it weird that I'm a guitar player, but I enjoy drums more? Like I feel like there's a lot more fun to be had. Like drummers, you guys get spoiled. Guitar players, we're kind of boring and predictable, right? Tube amps, big pedal boards, humbuckers, single cuts. Drums just have way more interesting stuff. You know what I've really got my eye on now? I would love to get my hands on a dial tune snare. For the studio, that seems like a dream come true in a snare drum. I'm a guitar player, but I do drum sets, keyboards too, since. Yeah, I think it's important like to play a little bit of everything, even if it's enough just to be able to communicate with other people. But like, I would not consider myself a drummer, but I have more fun setting up a drum set and tuning it up and getting tones than I ever do on guitar. I don't know why that is. Snare time. Seat. Oh, this seems like a bad idea. Nope. BRB. Drum seems cool because you get a chair. There's some truth to that. It is the chillest of instruments, that's for sure. If you guys are doing any amount of drum tuning, is this a marching specific key? I don't know. I just looked up a long key. Oof. This is awesome as far as getting a grip on it, doing something fast, being able to turn it, and it's magnetic. These are sweet. Thoughts on snare wires? I got some thoughts on snare wires. That's typically the first thing I'll change on most ones. On this acrylite, I didn't. I kept the original ones. All the ones that came with it. I love the I'm a sucker for like that 70s sound of a snare. I love a dry, very snare active sound. So I have a couple sets of pure sound, or maybe it's the Sabian like 42 strands. Now, I love this 42 strand. I don't know if you can see it. If I can hold it in a way that you could actually see it. Like, that's a big old set of snares, and I love the 42s, but my gosh, this is the most fragile set of snare wires that I've ever come across, and there's another one broken right now I've got to cut before the session. Love ghost notes. Yeah. If it seems like the more snares you get on there, the more you'll get. I know a lot of people don't like going as much as 42 on those things, but there is something about just having a big, thick log of snare wires on the bottom of the snare. It just brings it to life. Now, I have put them on the acrylite before, and I have a session player who does the same thing. He's got an olive badge acrylite that he brings, and we typically keep them tuned a little differently. And he has a 42 strand on his, and I've just got like a 20 strand or so on this one. And those 42s on an acrylite just sound amazing. So I have only snares I have here in the studio are at acrylite. They're all 14s. The one that came with the Ludwig set, so a Ludwig Classic Maple snare. And then I have the Matt Halpern Wraith. So that drum is awesome. And on that one, I just have a 20 snare on that. Because it seems like with that, you don't want a whole lot of like actual fizz on that snare. If you're going for that crazy like metal, like periphery type of snare, which admittedly I'm way into periphery. And I love anything that those guys do. Like Nolly can just get some crazy sounds out of a snare drum. It made me fall in love with it. But for that one, I don't have a whole lot of snare wires. So changing out a controlled sound on this, which that is my number one I've always used on a snare, control sound. But even these, they seem inconsistent. When you get a good one, you get a good one. So we used to play at a place in Austin where the sound guy would always try to talk to our drummer into sticking a matchstick under one side of the snare wires. Never did it. A matchstick under one side of the snare wires. Only thing I could think of in doing that would be you would choke the drum a little less. Yeah, metal all the way. Ooh, yeah. There's a brand of snares, it's escaping me right now, where they have like a system of rails that the actual snare wires will sit on so that they don't, as you tighten them, they don't press against the head any harder. So you're not going to choke out that bottom head and lose a lot of tone that you'd otherwise have. So maybe that's kind of what he's going for, but it seems like you'd just be putting pressure on one side of the drum head, and that would really throw off your bottom head, unless I'm just totally misunderstanding what you're saying. That seems like maybe it's awesome. That seems like a terrible idea. The 42s also kind of dampen that bottom head. Great for low tuning, not so much for high. I totally agree, and I self-proclaimed I love tuning my snares low, and I've always tuned them crazy low. That's just always been the sound I like. I never dig mixes, so I don't do it myself where that drum is super high. So if I was a drummer, I would probably use a battery drill to loosen the screws. I have a drummer who has done that. Actually, there was a drummer in here not too long ago. He has a drill, he has the bit. I've used them. I would much rather do it with my hand because I want to make sure the lugs are in good condition, especially with an older drum like this one. If you crank too hard on something, you can strip that out, and then you'd have to replace that hardware. You could possibly ruin that lug or the barrel, and then you were out that side, and then it'll never tune the right way again. It's just so easy to cross thread these things. But in a perfect world, I totally agree with you. But even loosening them and coming out, this guy had done it so many times, he just didn't get it exactly straight, and he just bent the crud out of one of these lugs. So I always do it by hand, and that's why I use a marching key, because you can just whoop, do it real quick. I am super impressed with these UV2s right out of the box. They have a note. It's low, but they have a note. That is impressive. All of them have been crazy consistent too. Huh, okay, but fixing drums is fun too. I'll give you that. I'm also a woodworker. My dad was a woodworker and cabinet maker and built houses and all that fun stuff, so he's taught me a lot. So the woodworker part in me is like, don't use a power drill for that. Certain things you just want to use a screwdriver for. Certain things you just want to use a drum key for. You know what, man? Do you? Anybody else use a marching key? Freaking love it. Saw that on a review about the note. I was surprised. You can test, that's how you'll test out if a drum is dead or not. Like any drum head, you should be able to pull it right out. Even in the store, I do this, and I know it's super annoying. But if you're gonna buy a head, you want to make sure it works. So pull it out of the sleeve and tap it and make sure there's a note. Because there should be a note, and if there's not, that's how you know it's dead. I missed the beginning, but why the UV2s? I just wanted to try them out. I know they're super durable. In this particular session that's coming up, why I'm changing all the heads, it's a heavy hitter metal band. Drummer is super strong, hits super hard, big rock metal tones, and the UV2s just seem like I wanted that double ply, the thick mill, and just have that natural dampening to it. And since they're advertised for being like so durable, this would be the perfect session to try that out on. And I've wanted to try the combination of the UV2s for another reason, because I have some new mics. Actually got 3 of these bad boys. I got the Earthworks DM20s, which I've wanted for a very long time. Other ones in the other room. But I just finished up a session using them on toms. And my favorite tom mic is the KSM32. You always use the MD421s. I've used SM57s. Those are fantastic. I have an old video that does not look very good, where it's the drum mic shootout. Used a whole lot of different stuff on the toms there. I don't remember exactly what we used, but I've recently settled into the KSM32 being my favorite tom sound. But these things, they blow that KSM32 out of the water. They're so present, so deep, such detail and punch out of these things. And if I didn't have these for that last session, the drum kit was tight. There was nowhere, I would not have been able to get the KSM32s in there, because we had 3 toms, really tight setup. This dude had 20-ish cymbals, and wrote a stack of rototoms. So I was not getting in there with a traditional miking setup. So I'm glad I have these to try out. And oh man, they were fantastic. So I'm interested. This next session coming up with the heavy hitter, he's just 2 toms. So I'm gonna actually set up one of these DM20s, because I have 3, 2 on the toms, 1 on the snare, and I'm gonna set up my Beta 57, which not my favorite sounding snare mic, but for something like this where you need to control the bleed from the hi-hat, that's my favorite setup for that particular sound. But I'm going to set up one of these right next to it and then kind of test how it does with the Beta 57 and just kind of get that flavor, because I like the sound of a 57 over a Beta 57 for a snare, but the Beta 57 handles that bleed a lot better, and the claims for bleed on these should be even better than that. So I want to see how it stacks up against that. And I'm going to put both of them through 1073s. So we're just going to get real nasty with it. It sounds good for my purpose. I do a lot of metal. I mean, I haven't tried it yet. It's all theory up to this point, right? Pulled my heads out of the box and they all have a note. Whew. Scared me there. Good. Yeah, I mean, every time, if you're actually going and physically buying drum heads, and that's the other reason that I made the switch to EVANS, because I have a few stores here. I'm in Indiana. Towns are pretty far apart, and we have music stores, but there's not that many. it is hard to find a full set of stuff. So I'm kind of forced to buy online or drive to Sweetwater, which, by the way, I'm only like an hour and a half drive from Sweetwater, and I never go. Although I did drive there just to pick up those mics, which was sweet. Kind of spoiled there. But that's kind of what forced me into using Evans more, because if I'm stuck where I am and I don't have access to actually be able to pull a Remo out of the case, tap it, make sure it's not dead, I'm going to buy something that I know won't be dead when it gets here. Because it used to be you could just take them back, and if the Remos were dead, they'll trade you. But a lot of times stores, they don't. It's the guys just don't know enough to trust you when you say the drum head is dead. They think you're doing something wrong, and some people might, but that's just the hard part about buying those. If you can't get them locally and you can't test them in the store, then it's kind of a crapshoot. Doing the Wraith. Boom. I love this snare drum. Yeah, I'm a total peripheral. How's that? I swear, one thing I am getting for Black Friday is a new mixer. Because even when you turn this thing, I go into the menu settings and I turn off the auto off, it still turns off. What is it even in the menu if you're just going to do it anyway? To be fair, I'm kind of using a Tascam DR60 Mark II in a way it's not meant to be used. Still trying out these live stream things. I have fun with it though. Something that would otherwise be a pretty mundane process. I kind of get to chat with people, especially now not having a whole lot of human contact. It's kind of nice to be able to chat back and forth with you guys. Yeah, I mean, if you said you're gonna order Evans now, like, I order Evans, like I said, because I have to order so many at a time, and it's somebody else's money on the line. Is it really that bad if it's your own personal kit and you get one or two bad ones? Like, it's probably not that bad. But if you're like me and you're in a studio and somebody else is paying for the time, it's hard to take that risk. It was a hood idea to do this drum show. Dude, this idea is so hood. Good. There you go. And last time, like, you guys were asking really good questions about, like, the business side of things, too. Which I'm always happy to talk about. And that's one that's, like, that would be hard to make an actual video about. These live things, I feel like The ones that I like watching are pretty unscripted and pretty interactive. So if you guys ever have questions about anything, like, yeah, I'm tuning, changing out heads on a drum, but talk about anything. Last time somebody started talking about client relations and how to get clients and stuff like that. Pricing your work. How many of you guys in here? 15 of you guys in here right now. That's always nuts to me. 15 people are watching this right now. That's crazy. But of you guys that are in here watching, how many of you do this as a hobby? How many of you do it professionally? I'm curious. Just give like a little hashtag hobby, hashtag pro. Like, and if you ever charged anything for a studio, you're pro. Okay. It's hard to give yourself that title. Hobby. Okay. So with that being a hobby, how do you release any of your material? I've done both. Okay. Well then, I mean, if you've done both, you're a pro. Because even though I have a studio, I would probably be pro, but I do a lot of stuff for fun too. So you're a pro. I'm just a drummer. Just a drummer. Drummers are gods amongst men. Don't you think anything less of yourself? Just making music for fun for years. Now I'm laid off, trying to take it more serious. Dude, did you get November? Now that I'm laid off. Dude, was it like the stuff that's going on all right now? Was that why you got laid off? You don't have to answer that. Has it been like a dream for a while? And this just kind of forced your hand into that? Note again. I got a boogie board for an EP once. Hey, that's technically pro. You got something. I think we've probably all been paid in things we wouldn't care to be paid with. If we're honest with ourselves. Always wanted to. Yeah, COVID shutting things down. Dude, you are not alone in that. I'm one of those firm believers that nothing happens random, and everything going on right now seems terrible and it is no fun, and I'm sure that hits you hard, hits a lot of people hard. And man, if this is what you're wanting to do and this is what you've wanted to do, run for it hard. Trust me, if I can do this, anybody can do this. I made a lot of really, really bad records for a long time, even after I had this building. I'll go back and listen to some of the projects that I've done, and I'm shocked that people would pay for them. I'm being totally honest. And you just got to keep going. Like, it is one of the best jobs I've ever had. Simultaneously one of the worst jobs I've ever had. I'm not feeling sorry. It's focused me. So I've been working boring 95, trying to do the right thing for my family, but now I'm all in. Yeah, man. If this is your option, do it. And dude, there is what's weird right now. Like I was really worried, especially when everything started. Like obviously had to cancel months of stuff. Um, which looking back on it, I wouldn't trade it for the world because I got to be home with my family and my son, who is one. We got to be around for like those very formative few months. So I don't feel bad for that at all. Um, take it for what it's worth and take it for what it was at the time. But I was worried for sure for my own business. But now that stuff has come back, and as long as you pick your clients well and take what you can get and just work your butt off. Somehow this quarter has skyrocketed me back. Like I don't think I'm gonna beat last year, but my last few years have been the best business I've ever done, and this one's gonna be pretty darn close to that. Almost like staying at home didn't happen for the business, which is shocking. And honestly, that's why I kind of started doing more YouTube stuff, because I was really worried that it wasn't going to come back. So just use that to be, there is business out right now. People, a lot of artists and a lot of creatives were stuck at home, and they're looking to be creative again. So just keep your head down, man. And I don't mean to feel like I'm just talking to you, but I feel for you right now. And there was definitely like I kind of going back to my own past when I was deciding to do the studio or not. Like quit doing what I was doing, which wasn't really anything that I would go back to. But I just remember feeling those same feelings. So I wish somebody had told me, "You'll be fine. Just keep going, man. Just keep working." The EP I recorded sounds like they paid for it with the boogie board. I guess that depends how much you like a boogie board. All good. Just focusing on the silver lining. Dude, good vibes all the way. Had to go back and read Caught Up. I dig your channel. Big stuff. Thanks, dude. I'm still kind of figuring out what the channel is, and honestly, like when I got the shout out from Creative Live, no, Creative Sound Labs, Creative Sound Labs, that brought a lot of subscribers really quickly and made me take a hard look at the channel and try to up my game really quick. And if I'm being honest, I kind of burned myself out a little bit, just overthinking things. And so starting these little super chill live streams that I just wanted to try them out. They're real unscripted. I want to see if I can interact with you guys and if you guys are digging what I'm doing. And I wanted to do that in a way that was like, we're very separated and we're just doing traditional videos. Like I have an idea, I film that idea, and I toss it out and see if you like it. But this is very different, and I kind of dig this side of it. It's very immediate. I can react to exactly what you're saying. Oof. Man, these things just, they seat so well. Love it. Last one. I will never understand why that dude decided to do that. He's just a genuinely cool guy. By the way, these things, oh, you can't see that at all. these little snare keepers. They just go on the lugs and kind of lock that lug down. They actually work. You find them on Amazon. By the way, if you want to support the channel and you are curious about those UV2s, there's a link in the description of this live stream. So even if you're doing some shopping, just click on that link, and I think it helps out the channel. I get some kickback there. Even if you buy something like in the next few days after clicking that link, I still get a percentage of it. So if you just do me a favor, go click that link down there. That would be dope. But yeah, Creative Sound Labs was genuinely one of my favorite channels. And seeing him do that video was surreal, to say the least. When you get that alert on your phone, because I'm signed up with the notifications for him. By the way, if you're not on the notification squad, you might want to get on for me. But seeing that notification come up for him and the channel, my channel's name was in that video, was a little interesting. At that point, I think I had 300 subscribers, and now we're up to almost 6,000. But jeez, I mean, that's just crazy to me that 6,000 people even care to hit the subscribe button. I was pumped when we hit 200. I know some of you guys who are in here right now, there's 8 of you, 7 of you. Some of you guys who are in here now, you were here when we had 200 subscribers. So you guys are champs, man. Some of those first few videos were painful. You guys deserve like a hug or something. Here from there too. That's awesome. You need some snare heads. Dude, this one I'm pulling off right now is right now my favorite snare head. I come from, like I said, coming from Remo. I love the Remo reverse dot. And I'll show you this one I'm about to pull off. I'm trying out the UV2s, but this one I'm about to pull off right now is my favorite. Like, if these UV2s can beat this, I don't know, but the EVANS reverse dot, right now, this is my favorite snare head. They were just out of stock. Otherwise, I would have got a few of these. Super cool head. Got a note? That's crazy. Not crazy that it has a note. Crazy that every one of these had a note. I'm not used to that. The drum head should have a note. That's the way it should be. Use the blue thread locker. I haven't tried a whole lot of actual lockers on here. I just got these on a whim, and they work so well, like it makes me want to try more. If I'm being honest, I kind of want to sell all of these and get that dial tune snare. I know it's $1,000, but ooh, that just seems like the perfect setup for a recording studio. Like, you get any snare sound you want instantly, change heads instantly. Maybe I should email those guys and see if they'll want a terrible channel to review their awesome snare drum. Nice, but I'm still freaking out about the sweet Ludwig drums. Dude, I have a lot of drum sets come through here, and I mean, I'm a sucker for a 2414 for sure kick drum. That 24x14 kick drum is what I mean. And I was literally looking at a bunch of different sets because I knew I needed a new house kit. Because what I had just wasn't cutting it. I was used to a lot of clientele there for a while that was bringing in their own set, and then once I kind of got to the point where I was like, I need to control this a little better. I knew I needed a really dope drum set, just so I had that bass line. That nothing could be worse than this. Um, and in doing a lot of research, like a lot of my favorite records had 24x14 kick drums, and for me, it's all about the kick drums and snares. So I found the Ludwig classic maples, and that 9x13, 16/16, and a 24/14 just seemed to hit the spot. Is that pine slot wall with rigid fiberglass behind it? Yeah, it is. It's kind of like a poor man's Helmholtz resonator. Because that is my mechanical room back there. So we just basically put a wall in front of a wall, framed it out with 2x4s. It's Ruxel Safe and Sound that's back there. Safe and Sound is what I use all over the building. But yeah, it's just framed out, Ruxel Safe and Sound, black burlap over the top of that, and then it's slatted with. Around here we have Menards, so a place to get like kind of good cheap lumber. Where we have Lowe's too, but if you're buying wood, you don't. At least here. The boys are slacking on the like button. I know. Yeah, if you're in here getting all these sweet tips, may as well hit that like button. Man, I gotta say, one thing to tell you, if you're changing drum heads and your fingers are getting gross, don't then touch the white drum head. Now it doesn't look so good. That looks pretty cool. I want to tune one of these up. Let's tune this bad boy up, because this is what he used last time. I'm starting finger tight, so I'm just going to go around and find a note. Wow. This is barely tight, and there's a note here. Oh, 26 Gretsch, yes. Alright, so this is way less tight than I would normally make a drum, but it's actually singing right here. I'm curious what it sounds like. Sorry if this is crazy loud. Wow. I'm curious to go like to a normal spot. That's insane. It seems like these heads will want to tune low. Like they'll be comfortable on a kit lower than you normally would. Oh, there it's starting. Get all that stretching out. I'm impressed. That's pretty cool. How fast that tuned up. Hilariously, after your comments about the big kick, I just bought a bop kit. Dude, I love bop kits. I record so many of those for the lo-fi jazz crowd. Dude, those are nothing wrong with that. Just gonna tune this one up too, get it up to tension. Then let them sit overnight. Come back and do the fine tune work. Like this one doesn't want to play. You track all your drum mics through 1073s. No. Actually, as far as like the Neve stuff goes, most of my drums are through API style. I use Cappy most of the time. What used to be Classic API. If you want, go check them out. They make a lot of DIY kits for like 500 series stuff that's based on classic API circuits. I have VB28s here, which is 2 or 3 transformers, basically mimicking the preamp stage of a board and the fader, the fader portion of an actual console. So you're getting like transformer. I think 2 or 3 transformers. I could be wrong. I'm a big transformer boy. And that API sound on drums was just what I came to love. I went to school right next to Gaither Studios, so I got to play around in that studio a little bit. And they had an API Legacy console, I think. Man, that thing just sounds so good on drums. So I fell in love with that API sound. I like 1073s most of the time on guitars or something when you want something to stand out. Basic for me, API is my baseline. And then everything else is kind of like a spice on top of that, if that makes sense. So a lot of times I'll put like my overheads on something else, or the guitars will go through 1073s. As far as 1073s to something else, I would get rid of all my 1073s and just get 1084s. So I have one 1084 and 2 1073s. That 1084, that extra top band just does something really, really cool. Like the switchable selective top band channel. You don't just get locked into, what is it, the 16 kilohertz, I think, on a 1073. But on the 1084, you can select that. So you have, I'm looking over here at it, you get 10, 12, 16. So you can select those different sizes, and that's just so much more useful. And I feel like the preamp is like it's got more attitude in it. And the 1073 gets a lot of love, but I feel like there's a lot of other ones, like the 1084 that is just really, really cool. Cappy, I built 8 of those puppies, dude. Same, I got 8 right here. They are fantastic. Once again, if you know how to solder, you can get 8 of those. And dude, back me up here. Those Cappies, there are no slouches. They do not sound like DIY preamps. Like these are like it's what I remember from working in that build with a full API legacy console. Like it's that sound. EP 25, 26, 312s. Oh, dude, how are those 312s? You have some 28s on order. I only have the 28s. But I was looking at the 312s. What do you like to use on those 312s? I did something wrong here. I'm gonna restart. API just has that sound for me. Like I could make a record on whatever I had to, but API is just the one I like the best on the most things. It's not the best on all the things. I will say just about every single time I record a vocal, it's on a Neve. I don't know why. I just like voices on Neves and drums on APIs. I love for overheads. Yes, they're fantastic for overheads. Although sometimes, because I have, sometimes I will toss my overheads on 1073s just to get them to stand out from the rest of the kit that's on. Like if all the close mics are on API, sometimes I will put overheads on some. But it is cool to get the full. The overhead, you like 312s on overheads. It's just fun to mix the spices. I know I'm not doing a star pattern. This snare, for some reason, one of my favorites that I have, but it's real weird as far as the lug tension, and I think the hoop is bent or something. There we go. It is shocking how fast you get a note on the. So I know what I'm purchasing once I get off this video. Buzz is on. I know. I'm sorry, guys. Definitely going to be purchasing a different mixer. This one's not working out. So What I was gonna say, go ahead and toss any of your last minute questions. I think I'm about to wrap this up. Doesn't have to be about drums, could be about anything. One of the things that would be helpful for me, just as a small channel, new channel, let me know what your favorite video is of mine that I've done. I would be super curious to know that, because I'm kind of stuck in like figuring out the YouTube algorithm and how to navigate that. Because I know one of the first videos I had that had some success was when I talked about my Mac, and I do want to do an update to that, but I don't want to come across like I'm just doing it for views, because I know if I put a put a video out that has Mac Pro in the title, it's gonna get some views. That said, I did one of my Macs, my laptop was on recall, so I'm getting one of the new M1s, the Mac Pro M1. So I am going to be doing a video on that. Speaking of clickbait, right? So anticipate that. I'm watching some of the other videos of people that are getting the M1s. Really anxious to see how it stacks up against the Mac Pro, because some of the things are just insane as far as what it can do. But let me know what you think your favorite video of mine was, or what you dig, because it is hard when I'm just looking at analytics as far as like what people get engaged with and what people tend to like the most is not what gets the most views. So it'd be interesting to hear what some of your guys' favorites are, and it'll help me make better content for you guys. Because let's be honest, it's 7 o'clock where I am on a Friday, and you guys are hanging out watching a live stream of me changing drum heads. So you guys are the ones I want to make videos for. Love the session prep videos. What specifically do you like about those session prep videos? Because those are hard. Because there's certain things that I cannot show, because it's interesting to try to talk about session prep but not share anything that's not my own material. So are there certain things about session prep that you would like to know more about? Specific recording techniques. Okay, I dig that. It's just hard to know what there's too much of on YouTube right now. You know, if I make another video about tuning drums, or like that's why I wanted to do this in a live stream, because I don't feel like I'm qualified to make a video on drum tune. But I can do a live, give out the little tips that I know, hang out with you guys, and it's not such a big deal. Because there are people that do it way better than me. Always wanting to see drum mic placements and such. Sweet dude. I'll definitely have one coming up on these mics, the DM20s. I cannot wait to try these out. I gotta say, one thing about these Evans, they sit and they seat really, really well. Where Remos, you have to get them and crack them into place and break that glue. These are... I'm not sponsored, by the way. I realize I sound like an Evans fanboy. I am, but I'm not sponsored, so... So it makes sense. I love seeing how different people think and work. All the prep and room setup that happens before the session. Mic choices before you start. Okay. I dig that. That's helpful. And that's what I try to remember with some of these things is, like, even the videos that I like watching. Like, I will watch 6 different versions of one idea, like a drum mic shootout or what head works best on a drum. But I like seeing other people's opinions. And I think for myself, I need to get over the fact that there's so many videos of whatever, because another opinion's not a bad thing to have. Like, I will not buy a piece of equipment unless it has a lot of reviews and have differing viewpoints. So I need to get over that and just offer my viewpoint, I suppose. That's helpful. I'm weird, so I like this stuff not everyone else does. I like making those videos, so that is good. That tuned up fast. The tip with cotton at the bottom head is a good one. More stuff like that. Favorite miking techniques: drum, guitar, bass, room. That would give you months of videos. It really would. Okay. I really dig if you had one mic videos. Those seem to be hit and miss for a lot of people. Those get views for sure. Do they come across a little, I don't know what the word is. They come across cheesy, because that was literally my first idea for a video, and it was the SM57 was my first YouTube video. And if I'm being completely honest about it, I have shied away from, like, I could make those all day. I love doing them, but it feels like they're a little disingenuous. I'm worried that they come across as disingenuous. And I don't want to, in my mind, what I'm doing with that is giving you a whole lot of stuff with one mic, so that you can then take that information and apply it to whatever you will, like knowing, hey, I have this one thing I'm shopping for, and you can hear that thing on that mic. Not necessarily trying to glorify the fact that if you only had one mic, this is the one you should buy. So I kind of worry about that, but I do want to do more of it. I'm just worried it comes across disingenuous. How I stumbled on the recording vid is because I had to do my own live recording all in the same room with as little bleed as possible. On this recording vids. Are you talking about one of mine? I think those videos are great. Okay, cool. Because I love doing those one mics. Like I said, it's hard to know how something comes across. You know, like, I have my intentions, and you kind of have to play the YouTube game in some ways. Let me tell you what I'd be interested to get your guys' thoughts then, because we're just chilling at this point, hour and a half. Why not? My favorite video I've ever done was the drum sample, or never use another drum sample. I feel like that tip was one of the big tips I got. And so that was really fun for me to show, but I was surprised at the amount of people who were like, you say you're not using samples, but you're using samples. And I went back and forth with one guy. I think he's since pulled the comment, but he was upset that I was saying, like, you never have to use a sample, but that I was using drum samples. And clearly, if you go watch that video, I'm not using any drum samples. That's the point of the video. And he was saying, well, any amount of recording is a sample. The definition of digital music is a sample. Oh boy. So I just gotta get over the weird comments, I guess. You mentioned in your video that setting up and recording all on your own is super difficult, hence you called for help. Most people, I guess, in their home studios do, though. Any advice or tips? I don't remember the specific video you're talking about. Probably one of the ones I had Luke come in, I imagine. And those, it's hard to do everything yourself. Even when I'm doing like my own personal stuff, I will bring someone in. And that's because, if I'm being honest, I have the yes. Okay, so I'm thinking of different. And that's because I have that ability to do it. There are some people who are just wired that way, and they can work on their own personal stuff. Sorry, I gotta remember I'm actually getting drums ready. But I don't know that if you're doing your own stuff, I would say treat it like a client. And Recording Revolution actually has a really good thing on this specific topic where he's like recording his own music. I think they're a few years old at this point. I could be wrong. Those record the Graham over at Recording Revolution, where he did like a challenge, like a songwriting and recording challenge. His approach to doing it yourself was very exactly like if you were working with a client. And I'll be honest, when I've tried it myself, I don't do as well doing that. But I feel like if you are one of those one person shows, you have to treat it like a client. So you're going to sit down and work on this right now. Once the song's done, go down the line. Try not to get too stuck in the creative side of it. You have to bridge that gap. Like, you still have to be an engineer about it. You still have to be a producer about it and make sure that the parts are good. So you almost have to like split your brain in half and be able to consciously judge yourself while at the same time remaining creative and in the moment and having an artist's vision. And that is the part that's really, really hard. I think a lot of people can record themselves. I can record myself, but to the level, just having worked with amazing musicians and amazing producers, doing it to the level that I would like to do it is hard for me. So anybody can do it, but it's having that discipline to be real with yourself, produce yourself, having that outside perspective is really, really. Some people do it so well. But go check out Recording Revolution. He had, I think it's this, make an album in a week or something challenge. Gosh, if anybody knows what it is, toss it out there. But that he does a really good job. See comments. The goo side of the speaker was intriguing. That was a really fun one. I saw Nolly do that video and it blew my mind. So I rushed. That was like a quarantine video for sure. Like, there was nothing else going on in the studio, and I wanted to try that idea out so bad. So I rushed to the studio, made a ton of tracks before I ever turned on the camera. And I went home to my wife. It's like, I feel like I found a cheat code for guitar tones. That is all thanks to Nolly. Super quick tune on this. Wonder how low I could get this. This is just an experiment to see how low this will go. Wow. These are so cool. The glue thing helped me a ton. Dude, that has helped me a ton. That's been insane. And the other part I'm excited for getting these mics for, the DM20s, now that I can use these on the drums instead of KSM 32s. I can now move those 32s and have an auxiliary mic for the guitar cabs, because those things sound sweet on guitar cabs. So now knowing what I know about the goose side and how to mix those speakers, I can almost like create any sound I want, which is really sweet. Pretty low. Yeah, that's a really, really low high tom. Like I said, I've never used these heads before, the batter or the reso, so I'm kind of seeing how low I can get that, because this is a crazy metal, like modern metal, like heavy hitting thing. I constantly keep criticizing myself while engineering the same music. It's kind of an interesting feeling, being open to anything creatively, but also being honest with myself that it doesn't work. That's what's really, really hard, because it's hard to keep a totally open, artistic, in the moment mindset and produce yourself. Like, it's hard. It's very, very hard. It's hard when you're doing it with somebody else. So, splitting that brain power up the other way, a lot of people can't do it. I can't do it. So. Get this last one tuned up. Get those questions in. Let me ask you this while I've got you guys. I would love to do more videos on outboard stuff, but I'm worried that talking about my outboard compression, or even the converters, the burls, which admittedly a lot of people don't have access to, that it would be a little unrelatable. Like, one of the things I really want to talk about is like my mix bus compression and how I don't use a limiter, but I'm not exactly sure it could be replicated. But even still, would that be something you guys would want to see? Like, would looking at my outboard gear, how I use an outboard compressor, pushing hard into some converters, would that be something you guys would like to see? Studio looks great, dude. Theo Hicks, dude, you guys are all honored by the presence of Theo Hicks. This dude. A lot of times I talk on these videos. One of my favorite groups I ever did was the Barbershop Quartet. That's the lead in that Barbershop Quartet that I always talk about. That's him. Theo, I love you, man. Miss you. Miss your face. One of the best singers I've ever had the honor of recording. And just one of the most genuine dudes. Those Tom Lee brackets are sexy. Oh, man. Yeah, the hardware on this kit is insane. Might give us something to think about, outboard gear, that is. Yeah, it's something I would like to talk about, because I think you could replicate a little bit of this back and forth. Throw a D6 or a Beta 52 on that floor tom, monster deep cannon. I have a D6, and that's what I use it for, are toms. I hate it on a kick drum. You guys said, dude, it's great to see this show. Look at all those subs. I know, right? It's crazy that many people. It still blows my mind. Do it. I want to hear more about outboard gear. Okay. All right. That is helpful, because it is hard watching some channels and they talk about it like it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to have outboard gear. But sometimes seeing how someone does something, and maybe my approach to what I'm used to doing on my mix bus can spark something for someone else, or there's a way around it as far as what you can do in the box. So cool. I will make that video. This one doesn't want to sit. Always wondered if you own your studio or just renting. I've been contemplating getting an office, turning it into a studio. I know either way it takes a lot of time and money. But then again, I really don't need anything else other than my home studio, being honest with myself. That's a tough one. Me, I own the studio. I'm eventually going to do a studio tour. I know I need to. This is a roughly a 3,000 square foot building. I own it and own all the equipment, all that fun stuff. So we're not renting. So that does give me a little more flexibility on what I can do with the building. Man, if you don't need a space and you're fine doing what you're doing at home, stay home. Honestly, just stay home. Like, my dream is to eventually not need this building anymore. And that I could have a setup at home or make like a shed in the backyard, be close to my family, do the stuff. I say that the studio is like 3 minutes from my house, but yes, I do own the building. Ooh, oh. Okay, this one's gonna be low. I am starting with these finger tight. Oh my gosh. I'm not even through all the legs yet. There's already a note. Make sure it's seated. I think I'm gonna like these heads. Do you have a desert island mic? The 1084. I think if I was just gonna have one mic pre, I actually just talked about this with another buddy who's kind of changing jobs, moving from a room that has just insane gear, an insane studio, and he asked me like what my setup was, and we talked through mine and talked through his, and they're kind of lined up. But if I was just gonna have one and I was just doing like vocals and a guitar here and there, a bass, it would be a Neve 1084, hands down, every single time, a 1084. Like I said, I talk a lot about API and I love API, but if you're just doing one thing and you don't need that console sound, because I would never buy 8 1084s. That would be financially reckless. But yeah, if I was gonna have one, it'd be 1084 for sure. You're a multi-instrument player. I would say yes. I started out as a guitar player. I'm a mediocre guitar player. And I play bass on a lot of sessions. I've kind of taught myself to be a bass player when you need one for those sessions that just can't hire a bunch of session guys. I can play a little bit of piano. Don't ask me to read a chart and do it. I can play a little bit of drums. If the drummer is bad, I can fake through it. In some of these videos, I've played drums, but program the kick drum, which I hate doing, but I'm just not a good enough player to do it, so it's kind of forced my hand in some situations. Restarting with this head, it wasn't seated properly. Appreciate the wisdom, man. Hey, I'll offer what I can. Not sure it's wisdom. I don't know if you can hear how long this note is on this. I'm gonna move them. Sorry for the handling noise. Just above a ring. That is crazy. Gotta go to work. Take it easy, Brian. Thanks for hanging, man. Woo! That's nuts. All right, guys. The questions are calming down. I have finished everything I wanted to finish as far as getting those drums on. Hey! Oh, yeah, of course you come in right at the end, Brendan, when I'm about to leave. But guys, thanks for hanging out. We changed heads on the whole thing. I'm going to get everything set up for the session ready to go. Stay tuned for one of the videos. DM20. You're in Indiana. Yes, I am in Indiana. Where are you? Stay tuned for the video on the DM20s. I've used these on one session so far, and they shocked me. After my favorite mic being the KSM32, these are, I feel like I'm losing nothing with the KSM32. But I'm excited to see how it'll do on this session, especially on the snare. Where I'm going to put it up against a 57 and really see what these things can do. Illinois, not too far, man. Dope. Sweet. Well, guys, thanks for hanging. Stay tuned. I will catch you on the next one. This was a fun little quick live. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.